Hello everyone, I'm Amod and welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video tutorial, we will learn how Playwright has made CSS Selector more powerful. Playwright always recommends to use user visual locators like get by role, get by placeholder, get by label, etc. But if you want to use CSS or XPath, then Playwright supports them as well. And for that, we need to use another locator method called locator. And about this locator method, I have already covered in my previous video. But in this video, I will cover the extra features added to CSS Selector by Playwright. On the official documentation of Playwright, it says Playwright augments standard CSS selectors in two ways. Augments means how Playwright has enhanced the capabilities of CSS selectors. First point, it says CSS selectors peers open shadow DOM. So you might be aware that a shadow DOM is a inner DOM, or we can say DOM within a DOM. And this creating a shadow DOM is a web standard that allows you to create a shadow tree inside an element which will be hidden from the outer DOM. Anyway, I will cover about this shadow DOM in more detail in another video, but if you're using Selenium, then to locate any web element within a shadow DOM, we cannot use CSS selector directly there. We need to first use JavaScript and then we need to call some locators. But in Playwright, using CSS selectors, we can locate the element in a shadow DOM. But that shadow DOM should have open mode. And second point, it says Playwright adds custom pseudo classes like visible, hash text, hash is, nth-match, etc. to make it more powerful. So CSS selector has already many pseudo classes that I have already covered in CSS selector video of Selenium WebDriver playlist. But Playwright has added more pseudo classes. So let me give you an example. Suppose you have a web element which contains a text. For example, here I have this A and this A has inner text home. So if you want to use this inner text in locator, so we can write XPath easily, but CSS selector we cannot create it. But in Playwright we can do using the pseudo classes. So let me show you the demo. I have already created one spec file and I am loading my HTML file there. So we need to start with await page.locator because I need to use CSS. And here I need to pass the selector. So I'm going to use tag name here. So just use in quotes A and I need to use text value. So Playwright provides a pseudo class called hash text and it says this hash text matches any element containing specified text somewhere inside, possibly in a child or a descendant element. Matching is case insensitive, trims white space, and searches for a substring. So this is very common in other locators as well. So here I'm going to use colon hash text and value is home. Since I'm using single quotes outside, so let me use double quotes inside. And here let me use expect. This locator should be visible. So this is very simple CSS selector with pseudo class. I am seeing that a tag which has text home. So let me run this test. Go to console and here you can see test is passed. Now here I'm using the tag name, then a colon and then pseudo class name. What will happen if I use a white space after A? And let me run this test. So you can see test is running. If you scroll up, it is saying element not found. But what is happening with the simple white space result has changed. But it's not the simple white space. It is actually CSS selector. In CSS selector, if you want to navigate to the immediate child, we use this symbol. But if you want to represent any descendant child, then we use white space. So A arrow B, it will locate the immediate B child. But if I use a white space b, it will locate any descendant b child. So what is happening here when I give white space? So it is behaving like within a. If the any element contains text home, give me that. And in this HTML, this a has no child. But instead of a, if I put li, then let's see what happens. So here, instead of a, I'm going to put li. So li has a child a which contains this text. Let me quickly run and see. So you can see this time test is passed. Now, instead of li, let's give ul. Then see what happens. So let's run it. And this time it is giving error again. And if you scroll up, it says strict mode violated because this locator resolved to two elements, li, which has text home, and a also has text home. Let's go back to HTML. So this a is child of li. So if you call inner text method on li, it is going to return you this also. So this text belongs to a li ul div as well. So if you call div there, then you have three elements where you have home text ul, li, and a. So you need to understand how to use it properly. If you give the white space, then it is going to look for element within the tag. But if you don't give the white space, then it is looking for ul where text is home. Just to repeat here again that this locator will also work because for ul also we have text home. Not directly, but ul has a child and that child has this text. Let me run and show you that this test will also pass. You can see test is passed. So these are very minor details, but you need to understand how it is working. The next pseudo class we have text, and it says this text pseudo class matches the smallest element containing specified text. Again, matching is case insensitive, trims white space and searches for a substring. So mostly has text and text pseudo classes are same, but this text pseudo class will give you the smallest element. What does it mean? So let's go back to Visual Studio Code, and here instead of ul, this time I am going to use div, and let me give the white space as well. So what I am saying that within div, give me elements which has text home. So if I run this script, it is going to find total three elements. Let me quickly run and show you as well. So if you scroll up, then you can see resolved to three elements ul, li, and a. Now, what I'm going to do, instead of has text, I'm going to use text. And let me run the program again. So this time it hasn't given any strict violated error, but it is giving test is passed. So which element it actually founded? So for that, what I can do, let me copy this statement, and here I can use evaluate method, and let me call e arrow symbol, then e dot tag name, and I can log this console dot log, use await also. So let me run it again. So basically I wanted to know the tag name which it is finding, and you can see it is giving me a. That means here it is finding total three web elements ul, li, and a, but text pseudo class will give you the smallest one which will be a here. So that is the difference between has text and text pseudo classes here. Now what will happen if I remove this white space? So let's go to basics, that here it is going to look for the div where we have text equal to home. But this time it is not going to look for the inner elements as well. Div should have this text. Let me quickly run and show you the result. So you can see test is running and throws the error now. So it says we are expecting this locator should be visible but element not found because we don't have div with text home. You can see just the white space can change the result. The third pseudo class is text age, and also this pseudo class matches the smallest element with exact text. Exact matching is case sensitive, trims white spaces and searches for the full string. So only difference here is that here it is case insensitive, here it is case sensitive, and here it looks for substring, but in the text stage it will look for the full string. That means if your string is HOME, then you need to pass the exactly same string. So let me quickly show the example here. So I'm using text hyphen is, or let me comment this one and use here. So text hyphen is, and instead of div I'm going to use a. So here what I'm saying that give me the anchor tag where text is exactly home. But before that I am going to remove last two characters. Let me quickly run and see what happens. So you can see test is running and it failed, which is expected because it will say that this locator is not able to find any element, and we know the reason. So here I need to pass the exact text, and it is again case sensitive as well. Uppercase and lowercase matter here. So let me run this program, and this time test is passed. The last pseudo class here we're going to cover is text matches, and this you can use to pass regular expression. And this pseudo class also matches the smallest element with the text contained, matching the regular expression. So let me quickly show one example. So on this HTML page, I have two buttons here with similar text. But in the first button, we have login. But in the second button, we have log space and then in. So here again, we can use await, then page.locator, and I'm going to say that give me button which has some specific text, but that text is changing. So here I'm going to use text matches pseudo class. So first argument will be your regular expression. So here we can use up arrow and dollar symbols. So up arrow will be starting of the regular expression or a string, and dollar will be end of the string. But here you can omit that as well, because in the text matches pseudo class it is expecting you to provide a regular expression. So we can get rid of these two symbols here, and we can directly write our regular expression. So in the first button I have uppercase L, but in the second button I have lowercase l. So here I'm going to put any case L. So let me use uppercase only. So log is fixed in both the buttons, but after log I can have word space. So let me put dot, which will represent one character, in fact any character, or you can specifically specify that there should be a white space, but let it be dot, and then I can use the last two characters in. And since here I'm expecting that it should match two buttons, so instead of using inner text method I'm going to use all inner text, and let me log it on the console. I need to make more changes in regular expression because here I need to ignore cases. So for that I can pass the second argument and pass I. which will make this regular expression case insensitive. And another point here, in the first button I have no white space, but for the second button I have the white space. So here if I use dot, it means there should be one more character between log and in. So here I need to make this optional. So with the dot I'm going to use question mark. So now it says that between log and in I can have one character or I cannot have. So now it should match both the buttons. Let me run and see what happens. So on the console you can see it is printing text from both the buttons. So that's all in this video. If you have any doubt, please comment on this video. If you really like my videos, please like, comment, subscribe and share with others. Thank you everyone.